Hello everyone, I'm Duncan and this is Momo.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to new episode. This is hard episode, man, to do because this is episode that contain, in my opinion, most disturbing event in entire Malazan. And this is no small statement to say for world of Malazan, but it just say to you like if you read Malazan and if somebody say worst event, I think a lot of people would go to this one.
Probably yes, but I feel that I couldn't quantify. I feel that a lot of them were equally disturbing, you know. It's hard for me to pick
Uh,
one.
I mean, I will tell later when we start discussing it why I think this is worst event. Like there are reasons for it because in a matter of actual damage, it's not even close to some other, like many other events where a bunch of people died or were raped or whatever. But actually, shall we talk about this first?
Let's
I
talk.
think this is centerpiece.
Let's talk about Hobbling.
Yeah, I mean, probably everybody guess, and I have like couple of things to say about this. First of all, in preparation, I was reading a little bit, and I found out that there is like some amount of people who take this as I don't know gratuitous violence. I really didn't see it that way. How can I explain this? I mean, first of all, I wanna mention this that, for example, if I seen this event in 8th book of Wheel of Time, for example, or Stormlight, I would have major problem with it because it would seem that it's coming out of blue, out of nowhere. But Malazan, I think from the almost the first scene of book one, not quite first but second scene, where Amanas and Cotillion release those hounds and slaughter this entire village for no apparent reason. I still didn't find, like good reason for that. Malazan and Stephen kind of set the tone for everything that is happening. So when this something like this happened in book 9 of Malazan, you are kind of it fits. I don't know if this makes sense. And if this happened in Wheel of Time in book 9, for example, you are reading Wheel of Time and in book 9 this event happened, you would be like, what the fuck, man? And I would understand people having problem with it in something like Wheel of Time. But in Malazan, uh, like he set the tone for Malazan, so it's not out of the place. And I also think that these like moments like this are important, man. This is something that, like, I don't think Erickson is like twisted enough to think about this method of torture, or by himself. You could probably Google it and you will find something similar done in our human history. I didn't Google it because I think I prefer to live in the world where Erickson is twisted enough to think about this for the first time rather than in a world where, he read some history and, find out that these people did that. And, that is 99% that's the case. And, I prefer to live like in ignorance.
Yeah.
So I really think it's important to show scenes like this. But to me, what make this so twisted and hard to read and like disgusting on a human level, not reading about it, but just imagining this situation is like all other evils that were done in Malazan in society. For example, like I always go back to Bidital. Like everything that Bidital do, there are people who are aware of what he is doing. But he is powerful and they need him. So they let him get away with it. But they know that what he is doing is disgusting and wrong. Right?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Here you have society, man, that this is their accepted like way of dealing with things.
There is a great video made by Rutan Bad, and he actually read some actual historic, articles about what people actually do around the world. Probably even worse stuff happened during our war. But one of the things that is the most scary is that these are the people that were supposed to be your friends. Like, she recognized those people who were actually
Yes.
being close to her family, who were, doing good things with her daughter, bonding, like socially close people. And in a matter of seconds, from those people that are supposed to be helping you, they turn into those monsters that are, enjoying you suffering. And this is something that happened in our country during the war. Like, you had neighbors who did unthinkable evil to their own neighbors just because, circumstance happened. And people become that's the danger of humanity. Like,
That is herd mentality, man.
herd mentality, but it's humanity. Like, it's humans
also,
are capable of doing this, man. It's like they become almost like a beast in those moments. It's recorded, being done multiple times. Again, I can't explain it as well as Rutan Bad explained it, so I would urge everybody to go watch his video regarding Hobbling. But this is needed. And so why I'm saying this, why is this scary to me as I was reading it? This example was familiar to me. But when I go back, obviously there is example of Bidital. His insanity is also based on actual, real things that is happening in our world. But that kind of means that Erickson is not writing these things out of his mind in some fantasy. He's trying to point out that we can be so insane, that we can be so cruel. Like, we are really, really cruel, man. In right circumstances. And I think this needs to be written, and it needs to be read, because
need to be, like I always say, it need to be addressed. Things like this, like I said previously, I hope that this came from his twisted mind, but it didn't.
It didn't.
I know, of course, I know, but like I say, it's easier for me to live in this world thinking, hoping that it came from his twisted mind. It didn't. But that is the what you said is what the scariest thing here, man. Like you say, these are not some unknown people. These are not some enemies. These are your people.
Yeah.
These are your tribes, people who were your friends. And that, for me, is why, like, these women participating in this and I felt that they are more excited by this than women. And most chilling thing that I read here is at the end of chapter, we go to Hetan point of view, and it's disturbing and everything. But at the very end, when she, like, for the first time, she realizes what hobbling actually does to a woman. Because this is not first time. It probably happened before, and she was like she was there. She maybe didn't participate actively there, but she was there.
It's part
and
of their culture.
And she kind of let it happen, and she never thought about what this actually is until it happened to her.
Yeah.
That is to me, that was such a, like, powerful moment and disturbing moment that people, like, don't think about these things. And another, why I always say that, in my opinion, this is, like, perfectly written by Erickson. I say, like, he explained to us what hobbling is before. And we kind of knew what hobbling is before this happened. But you never thought about it. You never took time to imagine how terrible it is. And I think, almost nobody can, imagine how terrible it is. So it's one thing to explain to us what it is, but it's completely another thing to show us. Like, showing is much more powerful than telling.
Yeah, it was
And
extremely powerful scene and everything that's happening after.
and I really say, man, it's very important that like these medias show this side also of humanity, this terrible side, and here is the thing, man. I wanna believe that, this hobbling maybe happened in past. I'm sure that it still happens sometimes, somewhere around the world, or something close to it. I mean, it will never stop happening. We are like humans are. We are capable of
We are
like
cruel.
great. Amen. But we are also capable of great good. But man, we are so also capable of great evil. And Malazan is like that, man. There are like such examples of of human nature that is like uplifting and like inspirational. But there are also, Erickson tempered it with things like this, man. And it's realistic. We are like that.
This brings another interesting conversation that I was saving for this episode as well. So I said previously that I was very pro Karsa and his, I guess, personal crusade against civilization. But this scene,
There are bad things about that too.
yeah. So Barghast aren't really like part of that modern civilization. They clearly bring a lot of that tribal, cultural stuff with them. So, what is the
Yeah,
solution? So Erickson is telling us, okay, the capitalism, the civilization, as much as good they bring a ton of evil. People are still enslaved in different ways. But then you go back to these, barbaric ways, and then you find another set of cruelty. So are we like as human doomed to just be pieces of shit no matter what?
I always, like find Erickson, uh, like commentary, to be more on humanity than on any political system. I always found, for example, like Letteri are definitely critique of capitalism, but he also did critique of everything else through his writing. It's, in my opinion, it stopped being critique of capitalism or I don't know savagery or whatever. It becomes critique of humanity basically, because we are capable of great evil no matter like what political system. It just like great different kind of evil. Like you cannot do what Barghast are doing in like I don't know in Malazan Empire or in Letteri Empire, but you can do different kind of evil. Maybe sometimes even worse. But evil is evil. Just different societies kinda allow different kinds of evil.
Yeah,
But it was really disturbing, man. Like I generally don't have problems reading even most gruesome scenes. Here I really struggled reading this, man, because it was very very disturbing.
this is too close to our situation during the war because it's very similar. A lot of cruelty happened from people you did not
Yeah,
expect it.
yeah. I mean, I think that kind of that we are a little bit have a little bit better insight because of those things, because of those stories that we heard about. Like I don't want to call them friends, but like neighbors, somebody you have good relations with, and then over a course of couple of days, those neighbors, those friend is strong word, but acquaintances, somebody you
Sometimes,
hanged around with,
sometimes friends, man.
yeah, turning into like somebody who is willing to do more evil to you than some people, some guy you never met. But it's really really I don't want to talk about that more.
Okay, so where shall we go now?
It's hard to go from here, man, to anywhere. But I wanna talk a little bit more, of course. You
About
know,
suffering. Some other suffering.
man, man, Erickson continued to shovel shit on, Talk Way. I mean, how painful this would be, man. We found out that he's basically blackmailed by Olar Ethel into not allowing his friend to die, basically. Somebody who really wanna die, who really wanna move on, and he had to stop him.
You know how I imagine this? It wasn't enough that he had to suffer, died multiple times, lost eye, being used by several gods, being tortured. It's not enough. Now you have to hurt your friend so that you will hurt in return.
Yes, and we are speaking about talk here about somebody who will willingly sacrifice his life for some children that he don't know. Imagine what he would sacrifice for two, and he has to do this, man.
Well, Ericsson, what are you doing, man? Why?
I really don't know. There are, more things to talk about here, but
you know what? I don't want to take anything away from Hobbling. I think this episode.
No, not only that I don't wanna take it, man, but after talking about that, like, I'm really not in a mood to talk about anything else.
Yeah.
Like, I think to people who read and who know what hobbling is, I think they will understand. But after we finish with talking about hobbling, I just don't have strength, and I need some time to rest.
But when it's all said and done, we are pro that he wrote this.
Oh yeah, definitely pro, but it's still hard to read. But in my opinion, like I always say, when you are author, any time that you elicit strong emotion from me about characters or something that happened, you did the right thing, no matter what that emotion is. It's much easier to write about, like I call them tralala things, these, happy, feel good things. But it's, I think, very important to also talk about these things that most of us don't even think about. These unspeakable evils that we generally think are like fictional things. And realize that these are not fictional things, these are things that happened or are, in worst case scenario, still happening.
Yeah.
Just maybe not happening around you, but trust me, they are still happening. And to fight against something, I think first step is to actually know about that thing.
To acknowledge
you
it.
You cannot fight against things like this if you don't know that they are happening, or if you don't know how they happening. So it is extremely important, but still it's painful and disturbing. But anyway, guys, I hope you didn't enjoy this episode. I really do. And see ya next week. Bye.
Bye.